5 to 10,000 pounds a month is what you could be earning if you follow these 4 steps. The strategy is rent to rent. So firstly, what is rent to rent? Rent to rent is a strategy where you rent a property from a landlord for a fixed amount, just like you would if you're going to live in a property. The only difference is you rent it from the landlord with an agreement to rent the rooms out individually, or rent it as a serviced accommodation where you rent it on Airbnb and booking.com and rent it as a hotel. So how does that work? You rent the property, and then let's say it's a 3-bedroom with 2 reception rooms. Those reception rooms will be converted to bedrooms. Now, how are they converted to bedrooms? You just put a bed in it. Don't overcomplicate it. You put a bed in it, now you've got 5 rooms. Let's say that each room is renting for £600. 600 times 5 is £3,000. Let's say you've agreed to pay £1,500 to the landlord. You've got £1,500 left. You're gonna be taking care of the bills, the maintenance. So if we deduct that, you'll make about £700 on that property in net profit. We'll go into the numbers and specifics later on this video. Step 1, analyzing deals. So you wanna use platforms like Spare Room and go on Spare Room, search for double rooms, and actually identify 10 standard double rooms that are the same size as the properties that you're looking at. So if you found a potential property, you analyze 10 rooms of the same spec that you could bring it up to, not the spec that it is at the moment, but the spec you can bring it up to at the same size. Identify 10, divide the total by 10, and you'll get the average room rate in that area. This will give you insights for a fast analysis whether that property is going to work or not when you're looking at the property, when you're looking at the rooms and you're totaling up how many rooms could be made out of that property within the legal limit. Step number 2 is systemizing your business. This is probably the most important thing you can do in your business, and most rent-to-rent operators are not doing it. What do I mean by systemizing? Now, they're systemizing the management, which will come later down the line. But for right now, when you're starting your business, you want to make sure you have a limited company. You want to make sure that all your insurances for your limited company are in a file. You can create a Google Drive file, put it all in there, have it all organized. You want to have your business organized. A messy business is not a business and is destined to fail and have complications and loss of money. So systemize it properly. Get a CRM system. I use Podio, you can use HubSpot. There's many platforms out there where you create a CRM, you put the properties, the potential profitable properties in the CRM. Every phone call needs to be tracked. Every conversation, you want to have the notes of the conversation you had, because once you have the notes, if you need to follow up, you can always go back to that notes and follow on the conversation you've already had with the landlord or the agent. If you don't have this and you've spoken to hundreds of agents and landlords, you are going to forget. And what happens if you forget? They don't see you as serious. You lose all the momentum you've built, and you've started back from scratch trying to build relationship, trying to build rapport with that landlord or that agent. So it's very important to systemize your business, have everything tracked, how many phone calls you've done to how many viewings booked to how many viewings attended, and how many viewings attended to offers sent, and how many offers sent to offers agreed, and how many offers agreed to deals closed. Once you've tracked these numbers and you've got your first rent-to-rent deal, you'll know exactly how much effort it took you to get that first rent-to-rent deal. Make sure your business is systemized. Stop doing cold calls like everyone in the industry is teaching. You need to systemize your business in a way that agents and landlords are coming to you, you're not chasing them. That puts you in an authority position, and that's what will get you deals compared to the saturated market of chasing agents and chasing landlords. Get your business systemized. Once you're fully operating and you've got a rent-to-rent deal, you want systems for cleaners, there's apps for that. You want systems for maintenance team, there's apps for that. You want your Google Calendar systemized with your team so everyone knows what's going on. Your team is your builders, your team is your cleaners, your team is, if you're sending someone else to do the viewing for you, you want to know when it's happening, where it's happening, and you want notifications on so that they get notified, you get notified when everything happens in your business. Once you've systemized it very well, this will become a passive income business. If you don't systemize it very well, you're buying yourself another full-time job. If you get to 5 properties and you're not systemized, it's not a full-time job, it's a 24-hour-a-day job. Whereas if it is systemized, you can spend 1 hour every 6 months, effortlessly make passive income. So that's how you have to systemize your business, make sure everything's set, and that will make you successful in rent-to-rent. Step number 3 is communication. Communication is very important when you're speaking to the agent, you're speaking to the landlord. You want to identify first their pain point. There's a 3-step system to communication. Number 1 is pain points. What are the pain points for the landlord and the agent renting to a family? So you want to make a list of that. In my mentorship, I make all my mentees make a list of all the pain points and all the benefits. So what are the pain points? I'll give you some. Share the pain points in the comments. Some of the pain points are renting to a family. With the new laws, with the new regulations, you can't evict a tenant for over a year. Landlords are really struggling to evict tenants. It's a huge problem in the industry. If you can identify that and share that with the landlord, be like, do you want to rent it to a family? What will happen if they decide not to leave and not pay you the rent? I'll evict them. Okay, are you aware of how long that's going to take? Yeah, I'm aware. Whereas we're a business, if we're doing an agreement, it's a company-let agreement. So it's business to business, it's a commercial rental agreement. When you do a commercial rental agreement, B2B, you as a landlord can evict me as a company, you can evict the company within a month, right? Assuming we're not doing our job, we're not paying you the rent, you're protected, you can evict us. The other benefit is, if we need to evict a tenant, we're doing a HMO, we need to evict a tenant, we use a license agreement, we don't use ASTs either. So we can evict a tenant in a week. This protects you from dealing with all the pains. What else is there? What are the other pain points? With a family, there's maintenance costs. You're gonna have to deal with the maintenance costs. With a family, they might leave in the next year. Now you need to spend another month advertising and trying to find another family. So you have void periods. That's costing you more money. Okay, cool. So that's the pain points. What are the benefits? The benefits, one of which I've shared, is you can evict us easily. The second benefit is that we take care of all the management and all the maintenance, and we only tenant working professionals. So the property's kept in the best spec in the area, because if it's not, we won't be able to rent out the property. And if the property's not renting, we don't have a profitable business. So it's in our interest as well as yours that we take on the property, because we take care of absolutely everything, take it off your hands, and we guarantee the rent. You won't have any void periods, saving you thousands and thousands of pounds a month in void costs and maintenance costs, and all the management's on our hands. You don't have the headache of managing. So these are some of the benefits. There are more. Please share in the comment any benefits, any pains that you know of. Help the community out. And number 3, part 3 of communication is tonality. Now, many of you may have heard of tonality, many of you may have not. If you're speaking to a landlord, you want to make sure that the pace of your communication, the conversation, is the same as the landlord. If the landlord speaks really fast and you're speaking really slow, there is automatically a disconnect. I go more into this in my mentoring. If you're speaking very slow or very fast and the landlord speaking very slow, there is a disconnect. But if the landlord's speaking very slow and you're speaking very slow at the same pace and matching the tonality, it's called mirroring. People do this in person. They mirror the body language. Mirroring also works in tonality and pace. So if you mirror the landlord or the agent, they feel more understood. And the best way to convince someone and build a relationship is make the other person feel understood and have them like you. They want to enjoy talking to you. It's not the only reason they do business with you. You still need steps 1 and 2. But number 3, it's going to significantly increase your closing rate, your sales rate in taking these properties on, building relationships with landlords and agents. Follow these 3 steps in communication and you'll be the top 1% in the industry for securing rent-to-rent deals. And step number 4 is closing the deal. So we went through the communication, the systems, analyzing deals. The most important part is you've done all that. How do you close the deal? Now, most people are unaware, but referencing is a big problem in rent-to-rent for those starting out. If your company's new, you don't have a guarantor, agents ask you for 36 times the rent. So if the rent is £2,000 on a property, you need to declare that you're earning £72,000 a year to pass referencing on that property, which most people are not earning. Now, there are ways around it. I do go through this. Going direct to landlord may save you from all that referencing many times. Going through agents, if you can sound professional and you know how to go around that, you can actually get around it, even without a guarantor, even with a new company. Now, if you do have a guarantor, then you want to prepare for that before, right? Have the guarantor in place and know your price range. However, if you know the ways around, you can get past that, but you want to prepare. So closing the deal is also sending the offer. How many emails should you send within a week? How many phone calls? How many follow-up phone calls? What times are the best times to contact these landlords and agents? These are things you learn with experience through immense tracking, which I've done over the years since December 2019 up till now in 2026. I've been analyzing deals, calling agents, calling landlords, finding the best time to email, which email draft worked the best, which phone call script works the best. I've done that. That's why people in my mentoring, I give them a proven system that works. That's how you're going to close deals, is by running KPIs on your business, key performance indicators. Track every part of the business, find out where the problems are, keep working on it until it works. So closing the deal, you want to email them with an offer letter. You want to follow up with the agent by calling them, telling them you've sent the offer, which is another point of contact. Message them, try and get them on WhatsApp so you can have more communication. And then also, once you've done that, you're now in a negotiation stage. How do you convince the agent to propose your offer and actually work with you to get your offer agreed? If the agent's not on your side, they're gonna only accept, or they're gonna only convince the landlord to accept your offer if they have no other offers. You don't wanna be a last resort, you wanna be the first resort. So by actually having a script, a system for that, when you're speaking to the landlord and you're sending that email and you're speaking to the agent, if you have done the past step of communication correctly, the landlord and agent will be more on board to work with you. You can ask questions. For example, you can say to an agent, "Hi, Mr. Agent or Miss Agent, what needs to happen for us to get a deal across the line? You're an expert, you've dealt with this landlord before. What do you think needs to happen? What do I need to propose? Or how could we make this offer better?" By asking these questions, you're feeding the ego of the agent, you're feeding the ego, which helps you in the decision making, because the agent then starts to like you. If the agent likes you, they're going to work with you, and that's going to help you close more deals. Have the agent on board. That's the best way to close the deal. And always make a list of all the costs before taking on a property. Make sure you're advertising the rooms. You don't need to take on the property then advertise for rooms. That's the risky way of doing it. Get a dummy ad, get some images from Google, or go to the property and take some pictures of the rooms. Use AI and make it look how you are going to make it look. Advertise it on the market and see how many responses you're getting. We have a KPI system. We have a target of how many messages we need to receive to know that there's enough demand in that area to take that property on. So make sure you're checking all this stuff. You have your email draft ready. you have your phone script ready, and then you've also checked how much it's going to cost you and whether you're going to make your money back within 6 months. If you don't make your money back within 6 months, it is not a deal. Just move on or renegotiate to get it where you make your money back within 6 months and the rest is profit. Make sure all of this is done when you're closing the deal, you're advertising for the rooms and you're making sure it's rentable and there's enough demand. Once all of that's done, you can happily agree to sign the contract. Make sure you reread it and there's no clauses in there that will cost you money and they can kick you out straight away. And if you want to protect yourself on your first deal, you can add a break clause in the contract, meaning you can pull out the contract at any time within 6 months or within 12 months, whatever that break clause may be. I do not advise for that unless, once you're fully trained, you wouldn't need that because you would have tested the market and done it properly. But if you are starting out and you want to go in and you haven't got a mentor or someone guiding you, which I do not advise, then put a break clause in and then you can pull out if you have made a mistake. So go out there, do that, follow these steps, and you'll create a very successful rent-to-rent business.